Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I told you a couple weeks ago that the Florida High School Athletic Association allows its athletes to transfer at will, and there's some underlying recruiting going on that has made the balance of the sport not balanced. What do I mean by that? Well, you have teams here that are real small in size, or schools that are small in size, beating teams 2-3 times larger than them. And I just don't see how that's possible without some kind of underhandedness going on. So a lot of people are saying or thinking the same thing I'm thinking. So what the association is doing now, they have a proposal for an open division championship that hasn't been approved yet. So here's how that will work. They're going to take the current system they have now, where they have metro and suburban, which basically has similar sized schools put in different divisions because of where you are as far as the size of your city, metro or suburban. And what generally happens is you don't have the best teams playing against each other for a state championship. Then there also was no call for who is the best team in the state. So this new proposal is going to allow for open division where you have a 32-team playoff of the highest ranked teams in the state of Florida, regardless of all classifications. Now, because you're going to be in the same classifications with everybody else, you can't opt out of that if you're in that top 32. And I think that's fair, because if you got some teams that are dominating, say, on a smaller level, and they don't want to compete against the bigger schools, they will try to somehow get out of that. But you can't do that if the state says you cannot opt out. Now, I think it's a great idea that, we'll find out who the best team in the state is. Generally, you can see that if you know what you're looking for. You can pretty much tell who the best teams are. But everybody's always pounding their chest about who's the best. Well, now we're going to see who's the best. Of course, it has to be approved, but I think that the way things move around here, it's going to be improved. Now, here's the one fly in the ointment that jumped out to me right away. Take one of those small schools, right? You want to dominate where you are, right? Okay, fine. But if you're one of the 32 teams, you're going to be selected for this open playoffs. Well, you probably can't compete with those other teams because the players you added is just enough to get you a championship on your level. But when you start talking about those really big schools, playing against those schools down in Miami that's loaded with speed and size and everything else, you can't do nothing with that. So here's how you get around that. You schedule a couple of teams you can't beat, and you go, say, 8-2 instead of 10-0. So now you're not ranked one of the top 32, and now you get to stay and compete against teams that you were building yourself to compete against all along. Makes sense, right? Well, that is not ethical, but it's also not ethical to go around stealing people's players, trying to win a championship with players that aren't yours. As far as I'm concerned, I understand the way things are moving around, but high school football is really not based on athletics. Athletics is just a venue for you to advance. But everybody looks at it like the athletics is the only way that you can advance in life, and that is not the case. Even if you are one of the best athletes, the chances of you making it big time are still very slim. Now, I understand now with the NIL in college, you have an opportunity to make some money with that, but just because you're on the team does not guarantee that you're going to make anything. Just because you make it to college don't guarantee you're going to make it to the next level. That's when good meets good, and now you have to play. Just because you're ganging up a whole bunch of players going against teams that can't do that, and you winning and you look like you super coach, that doesn't happen when you get to the next level, because now you're running against people who are on the same level as you, playing with the same rules you have, and now we get to see who can do what. So with this 32-team open enrollment, it's just going to make obvious what's already clear, who the best teams are in the state of Florida. So when they get approved, I will be the first to let you know. But I think it's a great idea if you're going to continue on with all this team change and stuff, because in the end, it really doesn't make sense. And what everybody seems to forget, that academics is what it's all about, not whether or not you can go 10-0 in a high school football team. This is Sports for Real.